We've just come to the end of a dramatic last day in Porto, Act 4 Extreme Sailing Series. A lot of action, some crashing and bashing, and I want to welcome Andrew Walsh, skipper of GAC Pindar. What a great day it's been. Not for everyone, but certainly plenty of excitement, lots of spectators lining the shore. Really great stadium we've had here in Porto.
Yeah, I think the sailing area has been absolutely perfect. I think the racing just got more and more exciting every day. The wind's built every day. The racing seems to get tighter and tighter, and today was absolutely off the scale.
Well, the breeze was off the scale. It was 15, 18 knots, sometimes gusting 21, and these boats do in excess of those sort of wind speeds. And such limited space in which to do it. Are you aware of the crowds and the noise around you, or are you just in the zone doing your thing?
A little bit of both. You're always aware. It's great. We come down past the sides of the river here, and you hear the sort of screaming, and you've got that sort of half in one ear, but you're so focused on what you're doing. It sort of sounds like a bit of background noise essentially. But today I remember hearing sort of aeroplanes going overhead, and we had it all on today. It was great.
So let's take us through one of the races. I think this is race 5 from today, and I never could pick out a pattern to the start. We saw people starting on port doing very well, people starting on starboard doing very well, but rarely did the same tactic work twice. What was your sense of that? Were you trying to do the same thing each time?
Yeah, I think so. We obviously the problem is you've got 8 very, very good teams, so we felt that starting towards the right-hand side of the start line was quite a strong sort of tactic. We just came off the line just then. At the starboard end, you often got this sort of shifting breeze to the right in the gust, and we felt that was quite strong, but it was very hard to consistently execute that start because you had so many going for that. And then every so often you'd have the left-hand side of the racecourse would come in, they'd get a big wind shift, and you see a linger here sort of.
Always going for the pin end, weren't they? They were always in that position, and sometimes it worked wonderfully for them, but other times they got in terrible, terrible trouble. So let's see how they're getting on here. From my perspective, coming past our commentary position as they were here, they look really good, and in a longer race they probably would be, but of course,
yeah,
you're on such a short course, so you've really got to be sure that the left is going to pay for you. Yeah,
absolutely. One of the advantages you do have, obviously, being that lured boat, you can sail your own angles, you can get your boat up to speed much quicker than you can if you're off in the middle of the pack, as you see, as we're getting a bit sandwiched there in the middle at the moment.
And you're all sailing so synchronised there. What surprised me there was that Alinghi just tacked. In normal sailing, they wouldn't have had room to do that, and you all obliged, and you all tacked in unison.
Absolutely, that's one of the sort of little things about this sort of race course. Blimey, it's getting really tight in there.
Crikey. So,
Alinghi have got it all Lord. On here. Wow.
What was going through your mind at that point?
Wow.
Do you not remember that?
I do remember that very clearly. I must admit, I thought they were taking off the end of our spinnaker pole in that bear away. So 2 very different approaches on port. You decided to luff up and slow down and let the traffic come past you. Alinghi did what? Well, they were hoping. They were on a hope and a prayer. They managed to. No contact, everybody was all fine there. They did a great job of getting around the back of the starboard tack boat. We were heart in mouth at that point. I mean, there was just silence for 5 seconds while we saw Alinghi do that, but thankfully no one was hurt. Nothing got damaged on that particular occasion. No, anyway. Absolutely. So let's see, you've come down low out of that, Mark. How's that working out for you? Yeah, I think we're under a lot of pressure at the minute. I think it's one of the Oman teams who've managed to get a slightly better rounding. Because we did that sort of slow and duck, we're obviously quite slow, but by getting the inside rounding, we've managed to jibe on top of the fleet. And I think we're in really good pressure now. Every so often these big gusts were coming down on the race course, big angle changes as well. So we did a good job, I think, in this race. You can see us going over the top of Zulu there, I think. Yeah, so you've taken a place there, and Red Bull are looking quite soft on the right-hand side. So at any point down here, do you think you might actually break into the lead? It was, a lot of the time, it was almost 50-50. If your side came in, you were going to be in really good shape. But I think Red Bull always had their noses in front, so they were looking quite good. I think we're probably quite worried about the Wave, actually, who's out of picture at the moment. But they were coming fast on the other side of the river.
From our perspective outside the boats, just seeing a lingy there, it looks so sketchy, so much spray flying off the bows. Does it feel like that on board?
There's moments, particularly as a helmsman, you've got your crew running forward to do a manoeuvre, and every so often it just feels like the bows are digging in. That's when you see the big spray come off the rudders, and you don't have very much control at that point. Don't want to tell the crew that, but there's some scary moments.
On a need-to-know basis.
Exactly.
So there you are, you've rounded the right-hand mark looking upwind, left as we're looking at it. What was your thinking for going around that mark?
That was part of, we did a good job on the first half of the run. Towards the end, we were never able to really defend that right-hand side. I think we'd have liked to have been with sort of Red Bull taking the green mark there. So you see as we're quite down speed at the moment. However, we've done quite a good job of managing to stay in front of Zulu, who are really attacking us there. And quite an aggressive tack here. We put the bow down, I think, to get over the top of the Omani boat, which was kind of critical that we managed to stay bows forward.
But meanwhile, do you have any sense of what's going on the other side? Because they're sailing about 20 degrees higher than you. Such different breeze across the course.
Yeah, exactly. And you're kind of aware of what's going on the other side, but unfortunately you're on that side of the course, so we're just trying to do the best job we can with the boats around us, and trying to make sure we win that little fight with the two boats around us, and then hoping in a minute that things come good for our side of the racetrack.
Some big hiking going on there. Does it really make a difference?
Oh, absolutely. All of these boats, they're one design, so it really comes down to the steering, helmsman steering, the guys working the sails, and hiking hard gives you that little edge of speed.
And here you come. You didn't manage to get a piece of them on that occasion. I don't suppose you managed to, but you're flying a hull. How important is it to get the hull flying in these sort of situations? Yeah,
absolutely. You halve the water's resistance. Here comes the plane.
Yeah. So did he take a moment to look up?
Didn't take a moment to look up. I would have been quite impressed with that. That's some good flying.
You were otherwise engaged.
We were very much otherwise engaged, but yeah, we certainly heard them on the race course.
So there you're tacking on the face of a lingy, and you got Oman. Well, I was going to say you got Oman Air tucked away, but actually they got making quite good ground beneath you.
Yeah, it was really tricky out there on the race course. Some guys were doing brilliant jobs at it, but whenever you had the opportunity to sort of bank those boats, tacking on top of the Oman boat and tacking in front of a lingy was one of our better jobs of sort of banking those boats. And we're quite happy, although Lingy look like they've got a bit of a piece of us, we know we're going to be tacking back onto starboard and become right-of-way boat here.
But as you know from yesterday, you were right-of-way boat when you had one of your rudders taken off. I mean, nothing's a given here, is it?
No, absolutely not. But I think later on in the race, you feel a bit happier that there's a bit more space between the boats. Right at the start, everybody's so close together. That's when the big accidents normally happen.
And I mean, there's nothing you could have done about it yesterday. You lost the rudder, you missed a lot of races, but really, in retrospect, there's not much you can do about that, I suppose.
No, absolutely. SAP very apologetic. They made a mistake. It happens in sailing, particularly in this type of racing. It's so we're right in front of the crowds in this tiny little race area. Accidents are going to happen, but very frustrating from our point of view, obviously.
But you held it together today. Not everybody did. There you go, crossing the line in third place. But Gitana not present for most of the day. It was their turn to suffer a breakdown, but it was of their own doing, as we've just discovered.
Yeah,
in a protest
that's
in which
right.
I believe GAC Pindar was involved.
Yeah, there were 3 or 4 boats. I think it was the Wave Muscat, who were the right-of-way boat, and sort of 2 or 3 boats having to, in really close quarters racing, all ducking that one boat. But essentially the sort of jury agreed with both ourselves and Zulu that Gitana just tried to go somewhere where there wasn't room for them to go. And it was kind of simple as that, I guess.
Well, one of the casualties of war, as I guess we've come to expect in the Extreme Sailing Series. Andrew, you've still got to get changed. It's got dark. Wasn't going to say anything about the smell, but thank you very much for joining us. Really appreciate your time, and that's a wrap for Act 4 of the Extreme Sailing Series. Thank you for watching.